My name is Alex, and I work as the night manager at a small McDonald's. Usually, night shifts are uneventful. Occasionally, a truck driver or late-night traveler will stop by. But that night, everything went wrong. It was around 3 in the morning. I was checking stock in the storage room, listening to the quiet hum of the refrigerator. Linda and Mike, my co-workers, were cleaning up in the kitchen. Everything seemed normal until I heard the chime of the entrance bell. Someone had walked in. I came out to the counter to serve the customer. Standing before me was a middle-aged woman in a worn-out coat. Her hair was wet, as if she'd been caught in the rain, though it was dry outside. She didn't say a word, just pointed at the menu. "How can I help you?" I asked, trying to be polite. She didn't answer, only pointed to number 13 on the menu, but there was no such item. A chill ran down my spine. "Sorry, we don't have a number 13. Maybe you meant something else?" I repeated. The woman remained silent, turned, and walked to a far corner of the dining area. She sat down and stared into space. In the kitchen, I overheard Linda and Mike whispering. Mike mentioned how strange the woman looked, like her face wasn't real. Linda laughed and said he was just tired. I went back to the surveillance cameras to check how she had entered. The footage showed something unsettling. Her movements were jerky, like in an old film. Zooming in, I noticed her feet didn't touch the floor. I shook my head, trying to convince myself it was just a glitch. About 10 minutes later, another person entered, a man in a black suit. His face seemed vaguely familiar, though I couldn't place where I'd seen him before. "I'm looking for a woman." "Is she here?" he asked in a low voice. His tone was so cold, it sent shivers down my spine. I hesitated, unsure whether to tell him the truth, but something inside me urged me to lie. "No, there's no one here but us," I replied. The man leaned closer. His gaze was so piercing I felt cornered. "If you see her, tell her I'm here," he whispered. He left, but before walking out, he turned and stared directly at the surveillance camera. The screen flickered and the image disappeared. Suddenly, the lights in the restaurant went out. I heard Linda scream from the kitchen. My heart raced as I ran to check. When I got there, Mike was standing in the corner, trembling and pointing at the walk-in freezer. Linda was nowhere to be found. She's in there," he whispered. I opened the freezer door and thick mist poured out. Inside, Linda was standing motionless. Her eyes were completely white, and next to her stood the woman. Her face was now twisted into a sinister grin, and black liquid dripped from her mouth. "You lied to him," she whispered. I tried to slam the door shut, but Mike suddenly grabbed my arm. His face began to distort, transforming into something inhuman. I broke free and ran for the exit. I bolted out of the restaurant and jumped into Linda's car. In a panic, I started the engine and sped away. In the rearview mirror, I saw the restaurant disappearing into the mist, as if it had never been there. But then I felt something strange. Turning my head, I saw her, the woman in the worn-out coat. She was sitting in the back seat. "You're mine now," she whispered. I screamed, and the sound of my voice echoed down the empty road. A few days later, newspapers reported the mysterious disappearance of the McDonald's employees. No one could find the restaurant or its workers. The only evidence was an old photograph of the building, showing blurry, indistinct figures in the background.